So I thought we'd start assembling the µKenbak-1 kit here that we looked at in the previous unboxing video. And the first instructions here are to add the 8 2.2K ohm resistors in positions R1 to R9. And assuming I can actually open this little bag up, which doesn't want to cooperate, we will head down that path. So we have a little packet of 8, a little packet of 4. I'm going to assume these are the 2.2K. Actually, not assume, I'm going to go ahead and measure one, just to be sure. And we got 2.18K, which is perfectly fine for a 2.2K. So we'll go ahead and get these on the board. I'm going to need to find my other pair of glasses for this. I think this is the pair I want. They give me a little better close-up vision. And these are going in R1 to R9. We see R1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's interesting. Add the 8 2K ohm resistors in R1 to R9, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7, R8. Okay, that's a little typo in the manual. So this is really through R8 here. This is why it pays to pay attention. Place the 470 ohm resistors in R9, 10, 11, and 12. So you may have noticed it was 9 resistor positions, there's only 8 resistors. So it's R1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we have 9, 10, 11, and 12 for the other 4. As I said in the first video, producing a kit and the manual and everything takes a lot of time and patience. It's a lot more work than one would, I think, assume it to be. So I'm very forgiving of these little minor things. An errata sheet, perhaps, with this information would help. I'll probably email the few things that I've discovered to the designer of the kit and suggest an errata sheet. Again, not a big deal, just pay attention to what you're doing. I am looking at the color coding on these as I put them in as well, and I'm taking the time to put them all in the same orientation. As I've said in previous videos, I just think that makes for a nicer build. Not that nobody will ever notice, it'll be inside of a case, but I'll know. And knowing I spent that bit of extra time, that satisfies the itch in me that wants it done very well. So there's R5. So these are the current limiting resistors for the, I believe it's the white LEDs that go over here. So the original design just had 1K ohm resistors for all these current limiting resistors for the LEDs. And based on the pictures, he had red LEDs, and then at some point he changed those to yellow and white to be a little bit more authentic to the incandescent bulbs that I believe they originally used. And because different color LEDs kind of require different current to get equal brightness, I think he just tuned the resistor values here. So he got the effect he wanted. Again, no big deal. It just means that the silk screen on the board doesn't match the resistors we're putting in. But again, that's just no big deal. Read the instructions, look at things, and pay attention. Not uncommon at all. So these should be in R1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And they are. Flip the board over. I've got my pencil set at, I believe, 350 degrees C. My happiest working temp. Got a little bit bigger tip on here than I typically work with, but I think it'll be fine. I'm going to hit up the board here. Has very large pads, which is actually really good. It makes working this nice. I'm going to hit one leg on each resistor. Yeah, this tip's a bit big for how I like to work. I'm going to hot swap it here, so I've just popped the other tip out. This tip will take a second to come up to temp. 70, 120, 165, 210, 250, 295, 350. That tip is up to temp. It's one of the advantages of high-end tools, as you just saw there. This tip heated very quickly. I don't know what size tip this is, but it's the one I prefer working with the most. Again, only hitting one lead on each resistor and just kind of tacking them in place. Take a quick look, make sure I'm happy with how those are installed, and then I'm going to take the unsoldered pins and I'm going to pull them up straight. I could have used tape to do this. There's 100 different ways that this could have been done, but I don't like the look of bent over leads on a soldered PCB. I just think it looks kind of cruddy. Is that something on the board? Yeah, that's something on the board, not a scratch. And then I'm going to solder up the leads that I bend up straight. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'll trim those leads out of the way. My little flush cutters here are getting old. That's not a great solder joint. I'll come back to it. I had one there I didn't like the looks of. Or maybe it was okay. And as anal as this is, I'm going to bend the original leads I had bent over up straight by heating the solder, doing it quick enough the heat doesn't come up the lead and burn my fingers. Yeah, this is a very anal build. You of course don't have to be this particular, but I am who I am. Let's go ahead and flow these a little nicer. Get solder joints on here I can be happy with. That's the one that seemed a little weak. I should be cleaning the tip more often, and I'm not. It's looking pretty grubby. And yeah, I have nicked the inside of the side cutters here, right up towards the tip. So there's a spot where it just won't cut wire. And it's got those 8 in place, and I'm Not as thrilled with that as I could be. Maybe I'm a little too anal today. I think I'm going to touch a few of these up from the top of the board. Get a little more even looking. Soldering, again, nobody's ever going to see this with me and you on camera here, but I want to know I spent the time to make this look a little bit nicer. Yeah, I'm being way too anal there. These are placed at 470 ohm. Take a look at one of these just to be sure. Wow, that is really slow. 467 ohm, close enough. And these go in R9, 10, 11, and 12. No, that didn't lay down in there well. Bend over the leads on these first. I guess I could be using my lead forming tool, but I'm not. R9. Ten. 11. And 12. In this case, I'm just going to pull the leads straight. Use a different method here of soldering these. Clean up the tip. And again, I'll tack one side of each resistor. No more than tack, actually. Solder it in place. Those look fine. Hit the other lead, and this way I'm not going to do what you saw in the first round, which was hit them multiple times, reheat and straighten up the lead, etc. I see a solder joint I really don't like. Right here, it's rather gray looking. This tip is getting near its end of life, honestly. It has soldered a lot of solder joints over the, probably about 8 years I've been soldering with it. Has it really been that long? Okay. Happy with that. Everybody's the same orientation. So that's done. Next is the bag labeled 10K ohm. The bag we relabeled as 10K ohm. Again, no big deal. And again, can these clumsy old fingers get the bag open? There's a lot of 10K ohms. We already measured one of these in the unboxing video. Are 13 to 27. I think we counted these in the unboxing video and there was exactly the right number. Oops. Get the leads formed here. You know, pretty unexciting watching me form leads. I've had people comment that they actually enjoy the build videos, kind of the slow pace. I'm sure for some of you it's very boring and you're either stopping the video to move on to something else or you're jumping ahead. Either way, it's of course fine with me. As I've said in previous videos, I'd be building this either way, with or without you coming along for the journey. So this is a lot of resistors. So these were R13 to R27. R13. Oh, if I can get it through the holes. Oh, come on. Dancing around there. R13. Check the orientation. R14. R15. R16. R16. Oh no, that was R18. R15. I see what I've done. R16's up here. The 16 and 18 look. The 6 and the 8 look close enough in 16 and 18 that I misread it. 16. Don't want that little piece of glue from the paper strip getting down in the hole and contaminating it. 17, there's R18. R19, I'll do one more. That'll get me about halfway through the board. We'll solder these up. And R20. The resistor that flew away there, we'll bring it back. Hopefully I can flip this over without dumping them all out. Get this a little better framed under the camera. And we will continue to solder. Same approach, one lead on each resistor. The board's not sitting flush, so I'm actually pushing down on the board to push the resistor up flush against it. Oh, that was exciting. Nope. Let's take a look from the front and see what we've got. They look okay. They're not perfect, but they do look okay, which is fine. I just realized how quiet it is in here. Is that a lead I missed from someplace? Oh no. Yeah. The wire leads keep getting in the way and deflecting the solder from where I want it to go. Some people will tell you do one resistor at a time. Obviously, I don't follow that advice. You may notice here I'm catching the lead with my thumb when I clip. That's intentional. Sometimes the lead will come flying off. like a little arrow. My thumb keeps it from doing that. I do have glasses on, so if a lead was to go flying, it wouldn't poke me in the eye and send me down to the ER. It's kind of a double precaution here. The thumb kind of holds it stationary. So we got through R20. It's interesting here that R21 is rotated, and he's going to go in that orientation to align with the other resistors we put in. R21, 22, where's 23? That's 22. There's 23 and 24 are numbered slightly out of order. Again, not a big deal. But I am trying to follow this in sequence, so I know I've got them all. R24. Where's R25? It's over here. R26 is here. And R27 is there. And the same thing. One lead on each resistor. Pretty amazing we live in a world where you can have a board like this manufactured very inexpensively. You can get free software like KiCad to design the board in. I go back far enough that I was hand taping boards in the 80s. Just the tooling cost to get the masks made, it was a photographic process to create them, would be several $100s. Then you'd have a small run of boards made, you'd discover a layout issue, you'd have to retape, etc., etc. It's just amazing how inexpensive and easy this has become in the modern world, and that's enabled kits at inexpensive prices, which is really good for the hobbyists and the kit builders. It's amazing to me you can get clipped one there that wasn't soldered, that you can get high quality PCBs manufactured pretty inexpensively. I clipped several leads that weren't soldered. That's kind of a shame that I did that. Looks like it's got them all. Just checking the top side of the board to make sure solder flowed through. And it did. That's got all the resistors. Pretty happy with that. Now is the bag of LEDs. And again, I will fumble with getting the bag open. We have 4 yellow and 8 white. The white LEDs are LED 0. So the white LEDs are LED 0 to 7. Just by reading, I know the long lead goes towards the bottom of the board. The silk screen does have the flat for each LED. So there's a couple indications. The flat of the LED matches the silkscreen. This instructions say the long lead towards the bottom of the board. Again, looking at the original µKenbak computer from 1971, I'm pretty sure those are incandescent bulbs in the system. LEDs had, I don't believe, been invented yet, or if they had, they were really new. The early LEDs were not real bright, drew a lot of current, and were expensive. So just checking the flats on them all, the long lead on them all, that all looks good. I was afraid I was going to do that, and of course I did, managed to dump them all out. Thought I could get away with that if I rotated it quickly enough, and of course I didn't. Check the flats. Actually do a little bit of lead flaying just to keep them from dropping out. Again, I'm only going to solder one leg. I will then come back and press each one up flat against the board and reflow the solder on the one pin, and then I will solder the other pin. Again, there's a bunch of ways you could do this. In some of my previous videos, you'll see me use blue painter's tape to hold components in. That tends to work best to me for ICs or IC sockets. It's a little hard to get enough tension with something shaped like an LED. Oops. So I'm going to, with my finger, push the LED up flush against the board and reflow the solder. That one moved. There it is. I don't know if you can hear that little pop as they move and become flush with the PCB. But all that one of them here is actually moved doing this. Gonna take a look. They all look nice and square to each other. It doesn't rock, so I think heights are good. I think I'm safe to clip leads and then solder the other pin. Apologies if I'm off camera. These leads are much thicker and tougher than the resistor pins, and these kind of leads really do have a chance of just shooting off the board and hitting you in the face and the eye. Again, you saw me holding a thumb over the lead to keep it from flying. And again, I am wearing glasses, which helps. These aren't safety glasses, they're not closed around the edges, but they are glasses, and I've more than once in my time soldering stuff together had a lead fly up and smack me in the glasses or in the face. Oh. Pretty happy with this so far. Pretty simple assembly. We've got the 4 yellow ones. Same exercise. The flat on the LED. Is there a flat on these? There really isn't. There's just a long pin which goes towards the bottom of the board. I'm not sure exactly what scale this kit is to the original. It's physically smaller. the case and everything than the original was. That's perfectly okay. Looking at the actual size of the original to build this kit full size would have, I think, been prohibitively expensive. I think he's at a pretty good price point for everything you get, which is nice. It's not like it's unobtainable. Same exercise. I'm going to reheat the joint, pull the LEDs in flush. Sight down the row again. There's one that seems, yeah, there's one here that's very wrong. It must have slid back out after I, which is again why check, look at alignment. One of those still seems poorly aligned. This end one down here maybe. You can hear the tension in those leads as they ring. So that's all the resistors and LEDs. That's really nice progress. Hopefully they were all in the correct orientation. They appeared to be. I see a solder joint I'm not happy with. Reflow it, add a bit of solder. Probably long enough into this segment, and we are, that's a half hour, so I'm going to stop the assembly in this video here and we'll pick it up in the next video.